A warm welcome to Podcast for Business with me, Steve Twynham. Podcast for Business is all about helping businesses to share knowledge, expertise, details of workshops, events and seminars with the wider business community. Today's podcast is brought to you in partnership with Make It York Business. Make It York are committed to finding the right support to help your company start up, grow or locate in York. Their dedicated business team offers startups, growing, established and relocating businesses access to a wealth of information, advice and support, including startup and growth, access to finance and funding, skills and training. There's a property search, international trade and much more. If you'd like more information about this, check out the website yorkmeansbusiness.co.uk. Sit back and enjoy Podcast for Business. How many times have you heard the saying that business is all about people? So how do you recruit the right people? How do you go about nurturing and developing those people? Well, in today's podcast, I talk with Simon Aronson from Gundog HR Development, and we have an interesting twist on just some thoughts about how you can recruit, nurture and develop the right people in your business. I talk with Simon next on today's Podcast for Business.
Like to share news about your business, event, seminar or workshop? Simply email steve@stevetwynham.com.
You're listening to the Business Hour podcast with me, Steve Twynham. It's a glorious morning. I'm sat at the wonderful Hotel Divan in York, and I'm sat with Simon Aronson. How are you?
Lovely, thank you. Yeah, I'm doing really well, thanks. Beautiful day.
Beautiful day.
Yeah.
Beautiful day. Well, today we're talking about people. We're talking about people in business, because every business has people, and we're going to be talking about recruiting, nurturing and developing people. Simon's company is Gundog HR. We're going to be talking about the name as well and how that actually came to be. But Simon, tell me a little bit more about just what you do.
What I do is I run the organisation which is around developing talent. So talent is people in your organisation. Everybody's got talent essentially, and we need to look at how that's developed further within every business to achieve great results.
So that starts with recruiting, correctly?
Yeah.
So tell us, let's draw on the Gundog HR then name and the Gundog analogy. How does this come into play? Because it's a great name. It's a different name.
Okay, so where that came from was that when I sat down developing my business and kind of looking at my business plan and thinking, what's the way forward for this? I've worked in HR and worked in development for a number of years, and actually I looked around and there's my two dogs sat next to me, two spaniels, and thinking they teach me so much. They teach me so much about how you basically look at what dog do you buy in the first place. Some people buy a spaniel, but they're mad dogs. They want energy, they've got so much energy, so much fun. But actually the name came around then from that, essentially, that when you're looking at taking people into an organisation, you need to decide what people do you want. It's just like buying a dog. I know that sounds a bit derogatory and I don't mean it in that way, but actually it's just about buying an animal and bringing your dog into your organisation. So the Gundogs was because I got Gundogs, but essentially it applies to any dog that you bring to your business. What temperament do you want? What behaviours do you want? Do you want a large dog? Do you want a dog that actually has been used by somebody else before? So I call it a second-hand dog. So do you want a rescue dog? A rescue dog then has already got some behaviours, traits, and it's already built up its own character. Or do you get a puppy? So that would be an apprentice. Do you want a brand new person coming into your organisation who you can shape and mould and develop and take forward? So essentially, buying a dog is just like buying an employee. You've got to get it right. There's kind of no second chances. Yes, you could put it back into rescue. That's not the ideal. And you can thank your employee and move them away from you. But actually, getting it right in the first place is the most important bit.
So part of that role, I guess, from yourself is helping people decide on just what they actually want in their business then.
Yeah, because I think it's what are your business goals, what are you trying to achieve, and actually who do you want to help you to do that? So therefore, which people are right for you and your organisation.
And using that analogy as well of the dog, does the dog fit into the team? Is it going to be so rebellious that everything falls apart?
Well, yeah, there is absolutely. There is that, because at the end of the day, if you get the wrong, taking the dog analogy, the wrong dogs together in a pack, then generally they'll fight. And actually what we want to do is ensure that that's a team that's working together to its own strengths. What I wouldn't want to do is create a one dog show, because that's actually not what life's about. So it would be about bringing the different people, different dogs together, and actually then building and using their strengths to take things forward.
So do you sit on a recruitment panel or would you sit on a recruitment panel with somebody then?
I'd be happy to sit on a recruitment panel, and I think it starts before the recruitment panel in terms of the research and actually what are you looking for. So the job design is really important, and the attributes that you're looking for, and then happily sit on a recruitment panel or an assessment centre to identify those behaviours and those strengths.
Okay, so we've got the recruitment. What about the nurturing bit then?
Well, I think the nurturing bit I think it starts off with the identifying the talents you've got in your organisation already. So who's in my organisation, what are their strengths, and what do they bring to my organisation, and actually what have they got that I'm not using? Because one of the things that organisations sometimes struggle with is the fact that actually I've got talent that's sat untapped. And before you can nurture that talent, you need to identify what it is and what it looks like and who's got what, first of all.
I remember reading about a company a few years ago now where there was somebody within the business. They were very quiet, they got on with the work, and then something had happened in the business and the management team sat down and said we need to do X, Y and Z, and they just threw this creative idea out to the group. And this person came out with something that blew them away, and they never knew that talent was there. What a shame not to use that.
Absolutely, I think we need to be looking at who we've got in our organisations and the best way to use the people that we've got, and are actually the people that we've got in the right role, and could we utilise them elsewhere. Organisations I've worked with before, if you don't tap into your talent, then you're losing so much potential.
Yeah, and just something that comes to me there as well, Sam, as we're talking, sometimes people join a company and months into it, they lose their motivation or whatever, maybe because they're not being engaged in things. And for me, one of the questions is, and probably one of the questions you might ask is, so what's changed?
I think that is a big factor, really. I think it's about, I use the phrase that this used to be a great place to work, so what's happened? Why isn't it any longer? And generally, and it is a generalisation, it's around, clearly business focuses on the profit, on the pound notes coming into the organisation, but actually, if you focused on the people and looked after the people and developed the people, the kind of money will take care of itself to an extent. I get that there's still need for everything else to be in place and the ducks to be in a row, keeping to the animal theme. But actually, we need to make sure we've got the people doing the things that they enjoy doing, and we're actually talking to our staff.
Yeah. And I know, in the title it's Gundog HR, but it's also development. Let's get that out, because people have this misconception that HR is, I want to go in there when there's a problem. But we're not talking about that, are we?
No, one of the things for me is actually that HR is generally systems and processes, and actually the development side is looking after the people in alignment with those systems and processes. So having the systems in place, having the procedures in place, and making sure that everybody's clear about the rules. If we go back to the dog analogy again, if we buy a puppy, we need to train that puppy to follow the rules. We don't want it doing things in the house that it shouldn't do in the house, like eat the chair leg or whatever else. So we need to ensure that the rules are clear to everybody and people understand them. But actually, how do they apply them within our business? So, and making sure that those rules are aligned to the business and to the business goals and people understand them.
Yeah, so we're into values and all that kind of thing. And then in terms of developing the people as well, we're all different, we all have different personality traits. And I know some of the work that I've done, because I think we first met a few years ago, actually. It seems a long time ago. But we're not all motivated by the same thing, are we? Some people are motivated by money, recognition for others, and so it's really understanding just what really motivates and inspires your staff. So if somebody else got the passion and really feels they've got a meaning and purpose for that business and feel part of it, I guess they'll work better, they'll be happier, and they'll be more productive.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. If they've got an affiliation with the organisation and their values are in alignment, and therefore their behaviours follow through from their values, and they align to the values of the company, then that's going to work more effectively. Yeah.
What a great feeling when you wake up in the morning and you want to go to work, and when you finish it at the end of the day, you know and I mean this is the nicest possible way, you'd like to carry on because you're so excited about what's happening.
And I think that's what people look for. People look for in their opportunities, and that's why so many people move around, because actually they're looking for the right opportunities for them to demonstrate their strengths, demonstrate their passion. As I said, there's an end to going to work, but there's a huge amount more that's in there, and why people go into work every day.
And I think when you recognise that it's all about people growing as individuals, I think that's the key bit, because there's a wonderful phrase, you never stood still. You're either moving towards somewhere or you're going away from it. You never stood still, are you? So Sam, what in terms of working with companies, is there a particular size of company you'd like to work with, or you do work with?
What I find are the best businesses to work for, and businesses I'd like to work with and do work with, are those that have grown very quickly, or have grown over time, and actually very profitable, very business-focused organisations, but the people have kind of been left behind in favour of the financial targets. So I think it's where as I said earlier on, it used to be a great place to work, and it is a great place to work because we're making huge amounts of money and profit for the shareholders or for everybody that's involved. But actually, it needs to be a great place to work because I really want to go in there every day, and I don't want to leave at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So small to medium size, so that kind of goes anything up to 200, where I can make a real difference.
And would that have to be around the York area, or does it matter?
No, I can work around the country. I'm not too limited onto where I work.
Okay. And what about somebody listens to this and thinking, do you know what? I'm sat here listening to this and I'm not feeling fulfilled in my role in work. Would you work with somebody one-to-one?
Yeah, one of the pieces of work that I've done quite a bit of is to work with individuals, and those individuals who wanted to step out of their current workplace. It's just become tedious and it's not really what they want to do and where they want to go. So we've sat and looked at their strengths, looked at their values, what's important to them, and I've worked with them to, very basically in the first stage, develop their CV.
Okay.
To look at their strengths, look at what they're selling, what their product is, what they're actually about, and how they then will articulate that across to a new employer. And I've helped them also to present where the presentation is required, and just to be able to feel confident, to be able to sell what they're all about. So
Simon, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
They can contact me via website, which is gundoghrdevelopment.co.uk. They can email me at gundoghrdevelopment@gmail.com, or they can give me a ring on 07488 269 847.
Brilliant. Well, look, thanks for joining us today on the Business Hour, and I guess on this wonderful day, on the dog analogy, we should be going and walking them.
Absolutely, that's where I'm heading. Thank you.
Thank you.
A big thank you for taking the time out to listen to Podcasts for Business. Podcasts for Business, all about helping businesses share knowledge, expertise, details of events, workshops and seminars. If you'd like to get in touch, you'd like to feature your business or let me know about an event, all you need to do is simply email steve@stevetwynham.com. Also check out podcastforbusiness.co.uk. Podcast for Business is produced and presented by Steve Twynham. Copyright applies.